Now, these are 5 traps that you're supposed to avoid them when you're especially at your 20s and your 30s. Believe it or not, take it or leave it. This is the prime age, 20s and 30s. This is the prime age on any human being that is living out there. This is that age that usually make or break it. This is where you gain the character. By the way, talk of about taking some other things out there. Usually start at this particular age. All right. Now, if you were to utilize this particular age in an appropriate way, then you're gonna actually achieve a lot in your life. All right. Some of the characters that are built, especially at this particular age, cannot be able to detach away from yourself. Okay. Now let's get to the business. But before we do that, allow me to remind you this. Hey, I actually post a video each and every day. And perhaps if you don't want to miss any of my good videos in the future, do this. Doesn't cost you anything. It's free of charge. Down below there is a small button written subscribe. Hit that magical button, like the video, and also comment down below. Tell me what you think. All right. Let's get to the business. Now, this is it. Now, at your 20s, there is what you're supposed to do. You know what they say? At your 20s to 30s, guess what you're supposed to do? At your 20s all the way to 30s, you're supposed to try many things. Try many things. This is the time that you have the luxury of time. And this is that time actually usually have like, the energy utmost. You have that energy. And by the way, if you can have this energy misdirected, go to any given nation out there. At this particular age, these are the people who usually, go about, if it's about, post-election violence and all those guys. This is the active group as a politician you'd like to engage with. Because in this particular group, this guy has a lot of energy more than the logic. That's the reality about life. And if you were to do things about in this particular age, you can achieve a lot of things. And this is how it is. From 18 to 21 years, guess what happens? You're just dumb. And this is called a dumb age and doing what we call the self-identity. They tell you like, now because you're actually from 18 years, and now you're regarded as an adult legally, then you want to try some new things here and there. If you're about men, you just want to try about some few things about ladies and all those kind of things. You're just doing the self-identity. And if there is an individual who is very hard to actually try to advise, there are people who fall under this category, especially when they quote unquote fall in love. But obviously they don't fall in love. They think that they're in love, they're infatuation and all those kind of things. Anyway, I'm not a relationship advisor and what have you. But one thing that I'm supposed to understand, at this particular age, it's very hard to advise somebody at this particular age because they're doing the self-identity evaluation and all those kind of things. And this is actually that age that most of the people start even maybe taking alcohol, smoking, and all those kind of things. This is that particular, because they tend to trust their brains, but their brains is not quite strong enough to go on and be able to handle all those trials. All right. Now, this is the point. When you hit your 21 to 25 years, at this particular point, you are working and you're earning something. Okay. Now, at this particular age, obviously something is coming in, you're getting some gigs, you're getting some job, whether formal or informal, or maybe you're just out of the campus or you're about to get out of the campus. Now you're connecting with the world. Now you understand some things. You know some nitty-gritties as far as the money is concerned. You know some nitty-gritties as far as the relationship is concerned and all those kind of things. You're not yet smart, but you're getting some things. Now, this is that particular age you realize that, hey, you're trying now to dress to impress. You don't really think, hardly people even think about investment, the growth, the future, the retirements, and all those kind of things. And that is one of the worst things that usually happens to people, because the reality dawns on them in future. All right. So in this particular age, I will always advise people, these are the trap that you can fall into: the consumerism, the spenders age. This is an age whereby you usually think and believe that it's all about dressing, it's all about eating, it's all about hanging around with this group of people, it's all about being in this place and all those kind of things. It's all about those road trips and what have you. Yeah, that's what actually that kind of resonates with majority of the people. And when you think like you're resonating with most of the people, then just know you're doing it wrong. By the way, I used to feel like I'm weird when I was this particular age. I could see some guys going for some things, but I wasn't for them. I was just feeling like I don't see any necessity of doing exactly that. But I came to realize, wow, kumbe, or oh, little did I know that actually meant good for my life. Now, here we are at 25 and to 30. In this particular place, we usually find, hey, you're working, you're probably stable. When I say stable, I mean like you're working, and don't crucify me if you are not gotten a job yet. Whatever that you're doing, again, maybe you're out of your, not even maybe, at this particular age, you're supposed to be out of your parents, by the way. You are out of your parents. Maybe you're working on your career that you did study in university and all those kind of things. Now, in this particular age, again, now that the ideas of getting married is kicking in or something of sort, but if you come from the society where they tell you're supposed to marry at 21, there are people who even marry at 20. Others are get married at 25 and all those. I wouldn't advise somebody to even think about marrying before 25. Whether being married or marrying, whatever the case, don't even think about. That's a thing that should be the last thing you should be thinking about it. Okay? Now, 25 to 30, now this time now you're thinking about, hey, how can I bring a family on board? Hey, you think like you're more responsible. You feel like you just want to have the legal thing, those are things that keeps on kicking in, and maybe you start comparing yourself with others on the sense of, not on the sense of growth, on the sense of to you, or to them marrying to you, it's actually a very great achievement that you tend to think. And this particular age, again, you have not parted ways with things to do with consumerism, spending your life out there, misdirecting your energy, and all those kind of things. Though the energy has sort of kind of reduced, but this is quite a sensitive areas. Okay, now we go to the 30s. At this particular age of 30s to 40s, and know what happens from 30s to 40s. This is where we say learn from an individual. You learn from an individual. Okay, this is where you follow an individual. Hey, guess what? I would love to be a content creator. I'll follow good Joseph at all the time. I would like to know the nitty-gritties. How does he open whenever he want to record a video? How does he engage with the audience? How does he see? If you want to do that, get somebody whom you can learn from. If you want to do something to do with interior design, follow somebody who does so. If you want to do something to do with this, you follow that individual. If you want to be an investor, follow an investor. If you want to follow somebody, grasp as much as you can. This is that time we usually say, hey, guess what? You really have to go out there. You're no longer a kid. The life does not even sort of, it's no longer soft to you. It's very tough and rough, and you're supposed to be out there. This is where the family starts, or maybe you've started the family, and this is that time you're actually supposed to understand, hey, guess what? You have to do something. It's all by yourself. You have to do something. You have to feed some people. You have to feed yourself. You have not only to feed them, you have to grow. You have to carry the vision. You have to spend that, all those kind of things. At this particular point, you're likely to get yourself into something called anxiety. Something called anxiety. If maybe, let's say, you've not started a family, maybe you start anxiety. You started to feel what we call confused. Why are you confused? Because, hey, you are 30. When you compare your peers, they have kids, they have children, they have wives, they have all those kind of things, and then you feel like you're being left behind. So we tend to do like a lot of things at the same time without even you considering. And this is the time you usually find some people can even sometimes fall into a trap. You might be shocked to find somebody at 35 falling into a trap, even somebody at 40, at the early 40s, falling into a trap of maybe these scams that hoovers around the social media, because these guys, they realize they wasted a lot of time back then when they were at 20s. Now at this particular age, they just want to do anything, press any button, provided it works, because they really want to make some G's, because they're about to have a bigger family. And I always tell people, the moment you're living a life whereby you realize that your life requires you to get a 3-bedroom, that's the time you're supposed to think about building your own home. I repeat, see, when you're in a bed sitter, no problem. When you're in a 1-bedroom, no problem. 2-bedroom, still allowed by the society. The moment you hit 3-bedroom, bro, sis, I'm telling you, at that particular point, you're supposed to be thinking about having your own home. That's the reality. Because to what extent can you actually rent? Can you go out there and rent maybe like 4-bedroom or something or so? It's quite like outrageous, okay? So go ahead and think about building yourself. Now, say you're at this particular age and you require like 4-bedroom. So what do? These are guys who need money like in any given time. So they hear that there is an opportunity out there, they grab it. They don't even do what we call the due diligence. That's why you find most of the people, they can actually get into a situation whereby they can even be lied to. So be very careful and cautious, especially in this particular age, because you're likely to fall under that trap. Okay, now we continue. Now, at this particular age, what I would advise you to do is that do not disregard the information about savings, investing, no matter how small it is, because at least you have a little bit of time in terms of the learning. You can try as many things in this particular age, but not as much that you could have done at your 20s. But this age, at least you can do something. There's some age that you will hit. Talk of 45. Once you hit that age and above, I'm not saying things cannot happen. It can happen. There are people who usually grow wealthy at that particular age. But the question is, you ought to have laid the foundation. If you do not have the money, you have the character. And these are the things that people disregard. You just tend to think like, hey, by virtue or by default of me getting more money in future, then I'll be good. No, you're supposed to be working on the character. For the sake, the moment the money shows up on the doorstep, you already build yourself the character. You won't be able to squander the money. Have you ever seen somebody who is aged at 70, and then once they get the money, they squander everything, and you're like, damn it. I thought that somebody at that particular age ought to, understanding like, hey, this is not how you spend the money. Absolutely, that's what we expect, but that's not the case. You know why it's not the case? It's not the case because they never build the character. They don't have the foundational knowledge as far as the money works. For example, you have that rampant cases here in Kenya. You find quite an old man at 60s or 70s sells a piece of land, goes somewhere, and then they disappear, go with the money within 2 3 days. They've squandered everything. They go back. You go watch something on the YouTube about the Kirinyaga place where they sold their lands and what have you. Some people are lamenting there. They don't even know where the money went. Anyway, that's not the case. The case is at this particular two ages, that is the 20 to 30s, that is to 40s. This is that age that you ought to carry yourself with dignity. You have to appear. And by the way, this is where I said the influence as far as the peer pressure is very high. So if you can actually be able to block it, have that guard that you can block all that influence, unless it's a positive influence. There's an influence that helps you to grow yourself. And this particular age, I always tell people, make sure that at least you sort of, confine yourself with people who are of the same caliber, people who are of the same mission, people who talk about growth, development, investment, and all those kind of things. I know you'll appear weird. Can you imagine a 25-year-old kid talking about investment, talking about shares in a money market fund? Sometimes I usually feel so good when I get called by people who are 21, 22, 23, and they're telling me, hey, Joseph, I loved your video. I would love to do something as far as this. What are stocks? What are shares? How can I invest? How can I grow myself? It feels so good because this kid, by the time they are hitting 30, they have themselves a very big and good portfolio of investment. By the time before they even open their mouth and complain about the government, they have already done something. And if they will talk about the government, they will be talking so at the comfort of the investments. That is exactly how you do the thing. But you can just get somebody who at 45, 50 complaining about the government. They're suffering because of the government. May it be true, but also there is a part of their lives that they ought to have played for them to at least be somewhere. So if you live to be this kind of an individual who complains throughout the time, that can actually mean very bad to your life. That can actually deter you from achieving the full potential of your growth. Now, the points to remember. At this particular age, 20 to 30, try many things as you can. Invest in those areas. Don't fear. All right, provided you do what we call the calculative risks, then you calculated risks, you'll be able to go ahead and invest. At 30s and 40s, it is good to compare yourself with others, but at all the time, pick that what it's actually resonating well with you, rather than just picking anything, targeting in your life, and can actually develop the anxiety and confusion. For now, it's a goodbye, but don't forget, you can pick that number of mine from the description of this specific video. Let's talk business, let's talk about investment. For now, it's a goodbye, and see you in the next one.